Lately, I've noticed something interesting. Whenever people talk about modern China, the word lonely seems to come up quite often. People say more young adults are living alone, working long hours, spending less time with friends and family. It makes you picture quiet apartments and people keeping to themselves. Fun enough, I spent most of this weekend at home by myself. By Sunday evening, I just felt like getting out for a while. So I came here, to one of Wuhan's busiest night streets, not because I expected to find an answer, just because I wanted to be around people. It was Sunday night, the last evening before another busy week begins, and this street was already full of life. People were walking around, shopping, eating, chatting, or maybe just enjoying being outside. I actually like nights like this. You don't need to have a destination. You can just walk around and become part of the crowd. In China, the night can feel completely different. As the sun goes down, hundreds of street stalls seem to appear out of nowhere. There really is a bit of everything. Clothes, shoes, accessories, street games, vendors selling all kinds of things. Every few steps, there's something new to look at. Some people are trying their luck at a game. Some are getting their nails done. Others simply stop because something catches their eye. That's what I like about places like this. You don't always come because you need to buy something. Sometimes, you just come because you know something is always happening. I wasn't planning to buy anything tonight, but somehow I ended up trying on a few hats. Maybe. After spending 2 days by myself, I just wanted a small conversation with someone. It's funny. Sometimes a conversation only lasts a minute, but somehow it can completely change your mood. After seeing a few people walking around with this watermelon drink, I got curious and decided to try myself. Sometimes, the easiest way to discover something new is simply to follow the crowd. After walking around for a while, I finally reached the deeper part of the market. The atmosphere changed. The shopping street was lively, but here, everything revolved around food. The smell hit you before you even saw the stalls. Everywhere I looked, someone was cooking, someone was waiting, someone was eating. In China, food has always been a way of bringing people together. Friends meet over dinner, families spend time around the table. Even many business meetings happen over a meal. Food isn't just about eating. It's often the reason people get together in the first place. I always enjoy night markets because the food isn't hidden away in a kitchen. Everything happens right in front of you. You don't even have to order anything. Sometimes, you stop simply because it's fascinating to watch.
刚才你不在那边屋里的吗？
啊什么？我吃太饱了。
You don't even have to be hungry. The cooking alone is enough to make you stop. And maybe that's why eating alone feels a little different here. Around you, every table has its own story. Friends catching up, parents feeding their kids, co-workers ending the weekend together. Everyone came for different reasons, but for a little while, this street belongs to all of them. Around here, there are so many choices. Everything looked delicious. Every time I thought I'd found dinner, another stall caught my attention. I probably walked around 3 or 4 times before finally making up my mind. Eventually, I stopped here. Waiting actually isn't so bad, not when there's this much to watch. The stall owner pointed me to an eating area, tucked away in a small alley. After seeing inside being full, I decided to eat outside. It was much quieter here, but just a few steps away, the night market was still buzzing. From here, I could see people coming and going. The street was still full of life, and I started thinking about that question again. If people are really becoming lonelier, then what are all these people looking for tonight? Food? Company? Or maybe just the feeling of being around other people?
有我的吧，谢谢谢谢。筷子在，好，谢谢。
This dish is already less sizzling, but still looked good. The dish disappeared surprisingly quickly. Maybe I was hungrier than I thought, or maybe it just wasn't enough. So, back into the crowd I went. One thing I noticed about night markets is that you never really stop looking. Even after you've eaten, you're still curious. Every stall has its own way of pulling you in. Sometimes it's the smell, sometimes it's the sound, Sometimes it's simply watching someone cook. This wasn't even what I had planned to eat, but after standing here for a minute, I changed my mind. Again.
我可以坐这儿吗？可以的。我们刚好马上要吃完了。
This time, my table was right beside the street, completely different from the first one. Worth the wait. A lot more spicier than I imagined though. Around me, the market never seemed to slow down. Every few seconds, someone walked past. Someone was calling out another order. Scooters passed by every few seconds. Some people were still deciding what to eat. Others had already found a table. Delivery riders came and went with new orders. By this point, I wasn't really following a plan anymore. I was simply walking, stopping whenever something looked interesting, and letting the evening decide where I'd go next.
We're looking for some desserts.
Because the food was too spicy, and I need something to cool my mouth down. Maybe that's the best way to experience a night market. Not trying to see everything, just letting one thing lead to another. This dessert looks good, but sticky rice feels too heavy tonight.
它就直接吃的吗？
I will try this yogurt ice cream instead. It also looks very interesting.
现炒要一个口味要45分钟左右。
你要吃吗？给你买。可以啊。
我要吃。 那边有卖6汤。
By the time I finished my dessert, it was already getting late. But the street was still full of life. People were still arriving. The weekend didn't seem ready to end just yet. I found myself thinking about that question one last time. Are Chinese people really lonely? Maybe sometimes, after a long day at work, back in a quiet apartment, just like people anywhere else. But tonight, I realized something. Maybe feeling connected doesn't always come from having a conversation. Sometimes, it's simply being surrounded by life, watching the same flames, waiting for the same food, sharing the same evening. You may never know the people around you, but for a little while, you're all part of the same place. I came here alone. I walked these streets alone. I ate 3 meals alone. Somehow, I never really felt lonely. Maybe that was the answer I was looking for. Thanks for walking with me tonight.